Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Drum Antics Society tasting. Uh, this evening, I'm going to continue a series of which I've had the perfect dram for a season, and tonight it's the perfect spring dram. We've done already the perfect summer dram, perfect autumn dram, and perfect winter dram, and the Spring Equinox 2026 was on Friday the 20th of March 2026, and well, the weather's got a bit cooler. It was lovely last week here, but it's got a bit cooler. Turned a little bit less spring-like, although the daffodils and the bulbs are coming up as well. So in this series, I've had three whiskies from the Whisky Exchange, the Seasons boxes, and this is the Seasons from the Whisky Exchange, uh, spring and summer. And I'm also going to add on a Decadent Drinks Dram from their Equinox and Solstice range, and this is the Equinox and Solstice Spring 2025 Longmorn. So we have four drams, and I'll talk you through each of them. But first one is the Equinox and Solstice Spring 2025 Longmorn 2013 11-year-old, bottled at 48.5%. And just a bit about Decadent Drinks. They began life by accident in 2018. And it started as a conversation between its founders, Angus MacRailed and Ian McClune. Ian had asked Angus if he would be interested to collaborate, experiment with some indie bottlings, with the intention that it was very much as a side project for both of them. Angus at that time had been writing a popular satirical blog called Whisky Sponge for a number of years, and had been separately thinking it might be fun to use it as a label for an indie bottling of some sort. But that was never more than a notional idea. But as it turned out, Ian McClune had some casks, and Angus MacRailed had some ideas, and the first Whisky Sponge bottlings emerged from these discussions in January 2019. From there, and very quickly, given it was all happening during this strange time that was the pandemic, the Whisky Sponge series took off. And during this early era, this was still a bit of a side project for everyone involved. But they soon added their first employee, and by September 2020, Decadent Drinks had been formally incorporated, and the board was set and the pieces were moving. They soon added a new brand into the mix, Equinox and Solstice, and spent the next couple of years diversifying their portfolio, adding side series such as Rum Sponge, Cognac Sponge, Armagnac Sponge, and Wine Sponge. And the idea during this time was to create a bottling world featuring their main brand character, the Sponge. Angus, as the creator of Whisky Sponge, decided that rather than let the series run on in perpetuity, he would rather conclude it while it was still strong, and use the opportunity to demonstrate that Decadent Drinks wasn't a one-trick pony, and enter Whiskyland. Equinox and Solstice is their everyday dramming series that celebrates nature with original artwork, original writing, the seasons, and natural, characterful, distillate-driven malt. Each year they release four Equinox and Solstice bottlings on their respective calendar dates. Each release is selected to be flavour themed to its respective season, and always bottled at their preferred drinking strength of 48.5%. They tend to be younger, often charismatic Highland single malts, and for the most part they're under £100. These are bottlings which are uncomplicated, easy, robust and approachable, and they're designed for sharing with friends, drinking outdoors, and even mixing into a highball or other cocktail of your choice. And the 2025 Equinox and Solstice series commenced with Decadent Drink's first ever bottling of Longmorn, and it's a marriage of two 2013 first fill barrels, bottled at 48.5%. And the bottles for this 2025 series feature beautiful artwork from Fife-based artist Kirsty Lorenz. Located in the heart of Speyside, Longmorn Distillery has been producing whisky since 1894, and it's known for its elegant and fruity single malts. It combines traditional craftsmanship with careful maturation to create complex and refined taste experiences, and is very favoured by blenders. Longmorn is often used as one of the sort of base constituents of a blended whisky. And the whisky from Longmorn is characterised by notes of ripe fruit, honey, vanilla and subtle spices. And it's quite a favourite among both novices and experienced whisky drinkers. It primarily uses sherry and bourbon casks for aging, which give it a full-bodied and harmonious character. The Numic spirit on the nose is soft and fruity, almost like fruitcake, ripe banana, pear, and it smells rich and round with a soft meat-like note at the back. The palate is fruity and it's ripe and it's long, and the finish is a little floral bomb. So here we have this 2013 Longmorn put into first fill barrels and 48.5% natural colour, non-chill filter. Let's see what we have here. I do like Longmorn. So we've got quite a pale colour. Quite a thin tide line. Nice tears though. Nice viscosity there. Yeah. And it's quite straightforward and unpretentious. It's got fruit tarts, syrups, sponge cakes, yellow plums, custard tarts, gooseberry, green apple, grass, and stuff like trampled nettles and warm porridge and honey. And there's some slightly sappy notes, crushed flower stems and vase water. And it's a modern and sweeter style. It's hard to be against it. I'll try the mouth. And it's a likeable young malt whisky. Very fruity, nicely balanced and pleasantly malty. And there's no jagged edges. loads of custard, baked apples, cinnamon breakfast cereals, dusted with brown sugar. And there's some pineapple jelly beans, shoe polish, lemon verbena, and sweet citrus curds. And the finish is similar to all that. It does start to unravel somewhat. It's oddly dry and herbal. Medium, woody, sappy, honey, dried flowers, and orange juice. I'm going to put a ml of water in this. Yeah, this is 11-year-old Longmorn, one of the youngest Longmorns I've tasted. And I think Longmorn is a lovely whiskey, but I think it probably needs a few more years to really shine. Let's see what water does to the nose. And there's more flower stems. Breads. Crisp green apple notes once again. And crushed oat cakes. Try them out. And it's a little more peppery. There's some hints of clay and canvas, along with more of those lively, nice, juicy notes. Pineapple, bubblegum, and heather honey. And the finish is now medium length, perfectly balanced. Ideally fruity, it's not vulgar or over much. It's an easy, sweet, simple, and very pleasurable young Longmorn. But where the distillate ends and the first barrel begins, it's hard to determine. I'd say this one is the perfect morning brightener for spring if you're feeling truly decadent. So I'm going to cleanse my palate tonight with the Mallow and Marsh bar. And this is milk chocolate over vanilla mallow. I thought that would be quite nice for the season and for the whiskies. So, next up, or first of all, we have the trio of single malt whiskies from the fourth and final instalment of the Whisky Exchange Seasons collection for 2024-25. And this trio was released in the spring of 2025. And they follow similar releases in the summer, autumn, and winter of 2024 on the premise that each whisky stylistically mirrors the characteristic of the season. For example, Each of the three whiskies in the spring release are fresh and young with abundant green and floral notes. So this was released in April 2025, and each was selected by the Whisky Exchange blending team. You get a nice box, nice cover on the box with some lovely artwork depicting the seasons, some spring and summer, and you get this perfect measure box. So you get three. Well, you also get this card in the middle, which has tasting notes inside and a QR code on the back. And then you get your Drams inside. There were 6, there's now 3. And the 3 we have for the spring set are a Linkwood 2013 10-year-old at 57.7%, Glentauchers 2013 10-year-old at 58.6%, and a Caol 2014 9-year-old at 59.9%. So let's see what we have here. So first up we have the Linkwood 2013 10-year-old at 57.7%. And Linkwood, of course, distillery, which was outside Elgin, but has been pretty much swallowed up by the expansion of Elgin in the last 25-30 years. But it's made this whiskey, Linkwood's made whiskey since at least 1820s, and it's known today for a fresh floral style that should make a perfect choice for spring. This one's a refill ex-bourbon American oak matured single barrel at 57.7%, and all of these are natural colour and non-chill filtered. Linkwood's new make has a perfume nose with pineapple, peach blossom, peach skin, quince, and it's quite weighty. And its palate is incredibly fresh with pastries, apples, and it has a lightly oily, chewy mouthfeel. And it has a clean and surprisingly long finish. So let's see what we've got here. Again, this is a very pale whiskey. I've had the Linkwood Flora and Fauna, which is I think a 10-year-old, but that will be at 40%, maybe 43% ABV. So this is a cask strength, and it has a nice tears, lovely viscosity there. And now I'm getting white fruit, fresh hay, and autumn leaves. This is supposed to be a spring dram, but you get a perfume nose of honeysuckle, lemongrass, and fresh linens. It's quite floral and sweet. Bright pears, green apples, and quinces. Lemon candy and hints of fresh grapes. Jasmine green tea. And there's some vanilla and coconut shavings. But it's not about the wood, this one. It's clean and uplifting, and it's certainly on point. Let's try them out. Baked apples and warming spices and polished oak build up over time. It's notes of sake, cloudy apple juice and green lawns after a shower of rain. More of the sweet yellow fruitiness, berry fruity, pears, lemons, orange juice and orange blossoms, and hints of pineapple cubes. It's really quite juicy. There's a light hint of bubblegum before it gets slightly sharper on that sake and green tea. And the finish is medium length with a hint of dried flowers. It's grassier with citrus zest and lemon candy. We'll try a mill of water in this. Probably take a bit more actually. We'll go a mill and a half. And I can tell you so far, I think this is going to go fantastically well with the Mallow and Marsh milk chocolate over vanilla mallow. And it's still a fresh and vibrant and bright nose. There's that dose of big crisp green apple, but then more delicate white peach, vanilla custard, icing sugar and white chocolate. And there's a hint of oakiness, but again it's fresh, like newly sawn sawdust. And you get chocolate notes becoming bolder and it's taking on a sort of darker cocoa character. I'll try them out. And the brightness continues with fresh vibrancy. There's a punch of white pepper and clove spices which give it depth. And the sweetness on the palate matches remarkably close to the nose. White chocolate and vanilla sugar. The oakiness becomes bolder on the palate, but it still retains the fresh sawdust appeal. And to ramp up the freshness, even more lemon zest and orange oil appear on the finish. And that dominant green apple character is ever present from initial nosing to the final hint of the rather long finish. The oak influence is quite light here, and it allows the spirit character to really shine, which is what we'd been looking for in spring single malt. And it would be an ideal dram to enjoy outdoors when the weather starts to brighten. It's bright and inviting, and it doesn't seem too young. It's 10 years old, but it seems perfectly balanced for that. There's a nice fruity roundness that makes it very attractive. And it's exactly what a sunny spring afternoon sitting outside in the sun deserves. It is cool and calm with a hint of spiciness that summer is about to bring. Springtime in a glass, this one, I think. Right, I'll cleanse my palate with some more. I honestly think this will go fantastically with whiskey. So the third dram in this set and the second dram in this set and the third dram for spring is the Glentauchers 2013 10-year-old at 58.6%. So this Glentauchers 2013 10-year-old has been matured in a single American oak barrel. In its character, Glentauchers whisky shows fruity, malty and sweet aromas, and the new make spirit has a light, grassy nose with an unusual note of chocolate digestive, then tea leaf and florals, and the palate is light and pure. It's slightly fizzy, light and ethereal, and the finish is clean. So let's see what we have here. Again, quite a light whisky. It's got a thin tide line. Nice viscosity, but fairly fast running tears though. They're not too sticky. It's not the most viscous one of the evening, that's for sure. And now I'm getting green apples, freshly cut grass, and white flowers. Fresh white fruit. And there's some green notes of sencha tea and celery bitters. Try them out. And I'm getting vanilla and yellow cherries, and there's hints of chamomile and cardamom, and there's also a herbal quality like dry vermouth and some liqueurs. It's got a greener profile, mint and elderflower, green apple, fresh grass, apple blossom, and a hint of chalk and light herbs. Plenty of leafy notes, floral hints, and a vegetal edge. Unripe pineapple, but also celery, grapefruit peels, and apples. And there's a faint herbaceous bitterness, along with some fresh oak shavings and gin-like botanicals. And the finish is fresh and persistent with more fruit and light florals. It's medium on herbal notes, hints of flower and green apple, with a bit of oaky prickle in the background. I'm going to add a mil and a half to this. .6%. I think it can take that quite easily. Yeah, Glentauchers, I fondly went Glentauchers, although I found the 3 or 4 I've had recently have been a little bit hit and miss. I think again it's a whisky that probably better a little older than 10 years old. But with water it's malty, creamy and fudgy on the nose. Plenty of fresh red apple. orchard florals and fresh ginger notes with some sweeter notes of milk chocolate and toffee mix with gingerbread and vanilla spices. It feels bold and slightly robust. Try them out. There's an edge of oiliness with biscuity, malty notes, and I think, yeah, I got the impression of peat, but not smoke. And I think it's the maltiness that I'm getting that's giving me that feeling. It is quite a malty whiskey. And the power of the alcohol comes across in waves of pepperiness and earthy spiciness. And it cuts across the viscosity nicely. Plenty of red and green apples, along with white currants. And the finish is milk chocolate, golden unrefined sugar, which brings sweetness. And there's a hint of marzipan underneath that. It's a fruity Glentauchers, and it's all about orchard fruit, accented by subtle spices. And it's more the greener, unripe take on the spring fruits. It's quite austere with a herbal and floral edge. I think water improves it. It brings the bittersweet notes to the fore. With an extra body and maltiness, this whiskey feels like the one for sunset, just before you have to put on a thicker jumper. So we'll try the marshmallow. So finally we have the Kulila 2014 9-year-old at 59.9%. And this one is a 2014. It's a single first fill ex-bourbon American oak barrel, bottled at 59.9%. The new make of Kulila on the nose is fragrant and smoky. You get juniper and wet grass, cod liver oil, wet kilt. It's lightly malty with a seashore freshness. And the palate is of dry smoke, an explosion of oil and pine, and it's quite hot. And the finish is grassy and smoky. So let's see where we go with this one. Again, very light colour. Nice thick tears. Coating the grass nicely. Quite thick running tears though. Yeah. And you get citrus oils and white fruits and gently smouldering coals. It's green and herbal aromas on the one side. Sweet lemon and some honey on the other side. It's very natural. It's abundant lemon juice. There's some briny notes and capers. There's mild antiseptics, mint, and fisherman's ropes in the background. It's rather a classic nose, this. Try them out. And it's perhaps more intensely peaty than I expected for spring. There's crystal clear sooty notes in the style of mezcal, along with bonfires and candles. And then we're back to seawater, burnt grass, beach sand, and plenty of lemons. There's hints of licorice and herbs too. Fresh garden peas, blossoms, and more barbecue smoke. Notes of grilled peppers, cactus tacos laced with fresh lime juice, and asparagus in season. And the finish is fresh and mineral with lingering peat. It's quite long, still showing a deep smokiness along with medicinal notes, seashells, and a light tar. I'm going to try a mill and a half in this. This is 59.9, so it'll take a fair wallop of water. Some nice symmetry on this one. It's got an ashy, sooty style of peat smoke, but that lends itself remarkably well to complementing the more delicate, fresh and zesty notes. Lemon zest and candied lime, citrus notes, and there's some delicate dried white grapes. And you get creaminess from waves of white chocolate, vanilla bean ice cream, and almond milk. Spicy cardamom spices add warmth without overpowering it. We'll try them out. And big, ashy, and charcoal smokiness hits you up front. And there's a buttery character with some milky chocolate buttons and salted caramel fudge. Earthy notes, which make an unlikely pairing with damp moss and sweet brioche. And the finish is citrus, balancing sweet candied lime, lemon curd, and a hint of bitter Seville orange marmalade. And the underlying peaty warmth carries through the whole experience. This is a smoky entry for spring and would bring to mind the first barbecue of the year. It's very good, even though Kulila initially seems like a weird choice for springtime. It's a bright version of Kulila, but as a springtime whiskey, it's hard to grow in me. On the other hand, it's interesting to offer a peated whisky in every season. We had an Ardmore in the summer trio, a Kulila and a Lejeig for autumn, an Orkney, Highland Park, and a Lafroig for winter. This is a young Islay whisky. It shows a perfect combination of fresh fruit and elemental peat smoke. Far from being a total smoke bomb, the peat here is restrained and elegant, like a nice mescal. And it shows that smoky whisky can be perfectly suited to warmer weather with the right selection of casks. And this brings all the bright and uplifting citrus notes to that springtime feeling that all of this hints at. It's excellent, neat, but also performs well. Would perform well, I think, in a highball with soda and a sprig of milk and ice, or even with water. Just now, it's not diminished in any way. So the perfect spring dram. In their final trio of seasonal drams, the Whisky Exchange has met the brief, I think. Linkwood is always going to be a stick on for spring. Glentaucher would suit the cooler evenings. And Kulila, it's a great that they found smoky Islay whiskies can be found to match any season, weather or mood. The Equinox and Solstice Longmorn is not the best Longmorn I've had. I think it's okay. Be good to go in a highball. It's my least favourite of the whiskies this evening. This evening, I think my favourite whisky, by some way, I think, is the Linkwood. And over the piece of the 12 drams in the spring, summer, autumn, winter packs, I think the Ardmore was my favourite dram of the boxes. So thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.